Why do you think it's so important to have a program like the Youth Leadership Lab that we have here at Museo de las Américas Los Jóvenes?
It's not just an after-school program, you know what I mean? It has evolved every single session, every single lab leader, every single year, every cohort. I see the development in the students and their interactions with the adults that we bring in that classroom face-to-face with them, whether it be a mental health professional, an artist. They see the investment of the adults into them, and it sparks a passion, and then that program grows and grows and grows.
We have a summer session and then another fall session where we will slowly shift from making art with professional artists to really thinking about curation and what it means to put together a collection of art in order to kind of reimagine this space as something that is a place for youth voice just as much as the incredible artists that you tend to have here.
This is art that's supposed to be telling, like, you know, a little bit of like their history, their own experiences, their own background is put into this. So just making sure that we all get to like learn a little bit more about each other and learn from each other as well. Just gaining different perspectives, I think, is just a huge part of Los Jóvenes in general.
But art is also a way to speak back to power. And I think that the importance of Los Jóvenes is actually this platform that is offered and that the Museo has offered long before I got involved to allow young people to use their voice and to use their art to think about the structures of society and to think about what it means to push on those, to talk to those, to point out the stories that are missing, and to create art that says something to other people.
Hola comunidad, I'm Kristina del Hoyo and this is the Museo podcast on air. In this podcast, we share behind-the-scenes stories from artists, curators, and community members here at Museo de las Américas to amplify and celebrate the creative voices of Latinos everywhere. Welcome, it's so nice to have you back. Today, I have the pleasure to have here with me our education programs manager, Sean Trujillo. Hola,
Hello,
Sean, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here with me at the podcast. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with Museo de las Américas.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sean Trujillo. I am the education programs manager. Fancy title for just saying I oversee all the education programs for our youngest demographic, our 4 to 18-year-olds. But a little bit about myself. I've been working here in the Santa Fe Art District for a better half of my professional career with education programs with nonprofits, in specific with the Chalk Art Gallery, which we were across the street for quite some time, 2 executive directors. And I also got involved with this summer camp in 2018 with Maruca and Corinne Salas-Young, who was the previous me at this museum. So I was able to apprentice under her and learn all the ins and outs of the summer camps here. And I found myself back here at Museo working with this community again, and I love it. And we just make so many improvements every single year, and it just gets better and better, not only for the kids, but for the community as a whole. So we're pretty proud of what we've been doing, and it's not just me. I mean, we have a lot of help that comes through, and community members and teachers and support, and so it takes a lot of us to make it work, and I definitely have the opportunity to oversee a lot of that. So it's pretty special.
Thank you, Sean. And I personally have had the pleasure to witness, Sean's growth and also his department's growth over the last, almost 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been working together for 3.5 years. As he said, his programs have suffered a lot of amazing transformation. So I think it's really cool to see that and to also be able to analyze and talk about that and talk about all the amazing things that we're doing here at Museo de las Américas with our education programming, which is really important for our mission, right? Like part of our mission here at Museo de las Américas is actually educating our community about the diverse cultures and arts of Latin America. So thank you so much, Sean.
Of course.
And as Sean mentioned before, here at Museo de las Americas, we offer a youth leadership lab a couple of times a year called Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab. And also, I think now we incorporated Nuestras Historias. Is that correct? That kind of like name as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So tell us all about that program, please. Tell us
Yeah.
all the details.
I would love to. Absolutely. It's so exciting. Well, the Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab actually sprouted out of the needs for our families who were coming from summer camp. And, the summer camp, we serve 4 to 11-year-olds, and then a lot of their siblings, get older and older, and they need somewhere to go, summer, something to supplement the programming while the younger ones are in camp. So it sprouted from that, and it started as being a STEAM-led after-school program, and I grew into arts, mental health, financial literacy, so many different things. And now we've taken it to where we've pivoted, where the students are learning not only all that, or the basic foundations of the program, but they're learning how to make a real art exhibition in a real museum.
Wow, that is very
Yes.
special. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I would have loved to take that when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So you said a STEAM program, right? I think I know what that means, but just in case some listeners don't know exactly what STEAM means, could you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So basically we make art with math and technology and mathematics and all kinds of different science and weird things like that. So we expanded on that a couple years back, and we partnered with the Atlas Institution and from University of Colorado Boulder, and they were just absolutely fantastic in spearheading a lot of these STEAM workshops with the kids. They came in here, they were building circuits and doing AI art and all kinds of fun stuff. And we were able to purchase a 3D printer, and the kids were doing all kinds of fun stuff with that. So it was fun. And then we were actually able to work with Confluence Center, big shout out, to work with the kids and doing podcasts, and they got to learn how to make their own podcasts and talk about things that are super important to them. So we kind of really intertwined this STEAM aspect and this whole art building, community building situation, and then now it's all coming full circle, where the students they're still learning that in workshops and different parts of the program, but they're taking it to the next level to where they can showcase all these skills in an art show. So it's pretty fabulous.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Are they going to be also, are they going to be curating the show and also participating in the show, like both things? Okay.
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. So yes, the students, we actually have, when the program first started, we had a youth council, right? And so when the youth council would meet separate from the Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab after school, right? And they would kind of talk about things that were important to them, kind of some art projects they would love to work on with one another, some community members they would love to hear from and learn different skills from. But that stemmed from the youth leader, the council, youth council. And so now we pivoting into the new program, we have a youth curatorial council. So now some of the students are really involved in some of the art making and they really want to know what's going on behind the scenes in an art museum. They get to learn some of that fun stuff, in the youth council, and they get to help their peers, write labels and place things in terms of lighting and where to put things at in different walls. And they have professionals to kind of just teach them some of the ins and outs of all that. So it's pretty special for sure.
Yeah, that's such a cool, learning experience, right? Because it's practical. You're actually doing something that, is going to stay with you and that you're learning from professional. So I think you spoke a little bit about this, but, in all the years that you've been managing, Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab, how do you think it has, evolved, like from the beginning that you were doing it, right? That you were managing until now, which has been, almost 4 years. How do you think this program has evolved into what it is right now?
Yeah, well, that's a great question too. It really evolved because of the students, and from where my perspective, when I see them participate, it's not just an after school program. You know what I mean? It's not just a thing where they can come and just participate and do art and then for a couple hours. It has evolved every single session, every single lab leader, every single year, every cohort, every youth council. I see the development in the students and their interactions with the adults that we bring in that classroom face-to-face with them, whether it be a mental health professional, an artist, teachers from higher institutions such as the University of Colorado Boulder or whatever it may be. But they see the investment of the adults into them, and it sparks a passion. And then that program grows and grows and grows based off feedback from them. So I see that, and I think that's one of the most important things for us in this program and to this museum and this institution, that, the results are seen with the interactions with the students, and they tell us if it's working or not. They tell us when to pivot, right? And so that's when we can make those changes and really meet them where their needs are at. And then that's how we've seen such a spark and growth with our programming and the impact to where, we're having, the kids are going to have a full-blown exhibition here, which is pretty fantastic. So
I really like what you said about how, these youth, they have a voice in which direction this leadership lab is going. I think that's very, important, because sometimes we have programs that if it doesn't come from the community, we're kind of like telling them, okay, this is what you're going to be, studying or looking at or analyzing or like working with, but that might not be what they actually want to do. So I think it's great that you have that flexibility of like actually taking their feedback seriously and, changing and pivoting, when it's needed. I think that's crucial for the success of the program as well.
Definitely. Youth leadership is key to any after-school program, and I think it's within our community here in the Santa Fe Art District and Museo. It's such a valuable asset that we have, that I'm just trying to sprinkle a little water on that grass and let it grow. You know what I mean? So, and it's flourishing for sure.
I love that analogy, and it's also springtime. So
hey, there it is.
Very on theme. So throughout the years, tell us a little bit about an art project that Los Jóvenes have made that really moved you and why.
Yeah. There was actually a few cohorts ago that we had a student, and I think it had to have been one of my very first cohorts that I was able to witness the students in action with the teachers and things like that. A few of the students were able to participate in a pop-up show that we had here at Museo. And I'll still remember it to this day, but we had a student from the very beginning in that first class, very timid, right? Very shy, very held back, and still in a shell. And the development between the adult that was in that classroom, the lab leader, and the progress of opening up and creating such a powerful art piece that became such a pivotal piece in that pop-up show. It was a very powerful, impactful piece. I think it had something to do with social justice. And it was a very heavy topic for that student, and they were very passionate about it. But during these shows, right here at Museo, we like to have walkthroughs with all the artists. And the artists come through and give a little spiel about their art piece, and there's all the bigwigs here, right? You have all the donors and that group here. And this student got up and told her story about this piece in front of all these people, and she was so confident, right? But I saw the progression of where she was at on the very first day in that show, or in that cohort, to the very end of that museum pop-up show walkthrough, and telling her story and why she created this piece and how she created this piece. I says, wow, we got something here.
That's amazing. Like, she was able to like step into her truth and her voice and her power. And I think that's one of the things that we would like to see, right, with our youth, right, that they can find that.
That's what it's for. The students to come here and feel safe, to open up, tell their stories authentically in a safe space with safe people, and create that in an art piece and to manifest that into an art piece. I mean, it's beautiful. You see how, and even in a STEAM workshop, that you see that blossom through that, you know what I mean? So that's the point of this is, allowing for that space outside of the classroom, right?
Yes. And we also have the summer session of Los Jóvenes coming up right in June.
Right.
So can you remind us again, like what are the dates for that program? Because we're going to be open for registration very soon. So if you can remind us again the ages and the times, everything, all the dates.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're going to jump on that one, it's going to start June 9th, right? And it's going to last for 2 solid weeks here at Museo. And we got an awesome program already planned out for them in the summer. But anybody 13 to 17 years old, but I only have 15 slots. So if you want to come in, I got you. But we will never turn anybody down. And it's always free for the kids. And I'll take care of you, feed you. We got field trips. And it's going to be a fun one for sure. We actually did partner with Meow Wolf for this summer program. So they've been awesome
that's amazing.
Yeah, to bring us in and show us around and talk a little bit about some curatorial practices. So, and everybody loves Meow Wolf, right? Why not take a field trip over there for sure?
Yeah, I love all those collaborations that we do as well. I feel like that makes the program even more powerful. I think also important for this program is that it's totally free for our youth to participate.
Always.
And also dinner is provided. So, we'll have some yummy pizza or things like that.
Anything you want, I got you.
If you're interested, or if you know anyone who would be interested in a program like this and in the summer session specifically, they can go to museo.org and register there. I think that's it. Anything else you would like to add about Los Jóvenes or about any of your education programming?
I appreciate you letting me come on here. And if you guys want to know a little bit more about our programming here and how to get your teens involved, even the tinies, this is we're here for you guys. We're here for you as the community. We work for you guys as for the community. So use us as a resource, as a source. We're always willing to help you guys out. So it's a beautiful community, and we're always loving to share. So.
Yes, that's correct, Sean. Thank you so much for your time and your passion and all the great work you do here at Museo. And we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristina. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And now I want to welcome mi tocaya, Kristina with a K here. So for those of you who don't know, we say tocaya in Spanish when someone shares your name. So Kristina is one of our lab leaders, our Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab leaders, and also a guide, right, for the Youth Curatorial Council, which is really cool, and she's going to tell us everything about it. But I just want to know a little bit of your background and how you got involved with Los Jóvenes, Kristina. Hi.
Hi, so good to be here. Kristina Stamatis, and I am a professor and assistant professor at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, but I got involved because of a grant that is funding a youth-curated exhibit at Museo in January 2026 with the help of your incredible staff here. And so I got involved with Los Jóvenes, really thinking about what would it look like to have young people design and curate this exhibit, and then also really thinking about what does it mean for them to tell hidden stories of our city? What does it mean for them to really reimagine what museums can be to tell their stories and to tell their stories through art? So we partnered mostly because Sean had already set up these great structures thinking about social justice and getting young people to experiment with art and tell their stories and learn about financial literacy. And so we just wanted to bring this all together in an exhibition.
Wow. I think something that you said that really stuck with me was the youth are going to reimagine what a museum can be. Mm-hmm. I love that. I think that's what art is for, right? And that's what museums should be for. How long have you been a part of Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab?
So I started with Los Jóvenes in let's see, I guess May of 2024 was our first kind of collective meeting with folks at the Museo to think about what this project could be. And then in the fall of 2024, I started as a lab leader supporting Los Jóvenes and really thinking about community here in Denver and what it means to deeply engage in community with young people through art. And that was kind of our pilot session. So we will be supporting Los Jóvenes. We're in the spring session right now. We have a summer session and then another fall session where we will slowly shift from making art with professional artists to really thinking about curation and what it means to put together a collection of art in order to kind of reimagine this space as something that is a place for youth voice just as much as the incredible artists that you tend to have here.
Yeah, that's amazing. To include youth as much as adults, right?
Right.
So because they also have amazing things to say, and I think it's great that we are making a space for that. We mentioned that you are a guide for the curatorial youth council, and I think you kind of like touch a little bit on that. But could you tell us a little bit more about that program in a specific?
Sure. So this was actually a much newer part of the programming for me. Sean has been running a youth council that really helps young people have a voice in what the Los Jóvenes Lab does. And as we start to get closer and closer to the curation of the exhibition, we started thinking about where does youth voice come into the exhibition choices, right? The curatorial choices that need to be made. So how are we developing the narrative around the pieces of art that we have? How are we choosing different pieces of art? How are we thinking about where young people get to push and pull on the structures of exhibition? And so we are collaborating with a few different folks. Kate McQuaid is an exhibit developer and designer, and she's helping us kind of think about what it means to work in museums. Juan Carlos, who is here, is also helping us think about what is necessary to produce an exhibition here at Museo. Sean is helping us think about the broader community and the stories we might want to tell. And then we're also hoping to partner with a few folks, someone from Meow Wolf, someone from the Clifford Still Museum, just to think a little bit about what does curation look like in these different spaces so that our young people on the Curatorial Council have some opposing understandings, right? Not just in Museo, which is very community-oriented and tells a specific kind of story, but also have some other perspectives of different kinds of museums. Our goal for them is to really walk away understanding what it might mean to be a curator or an artist professionally, and to have some skills they can actually leverage into that career if they want to.
That sounds amazing. I love the collaborative kind of like component and how they are gonna be able to listen or like to just be with different perspectives of different kinds of museums. I think that's important, right? Because that's reality, right? Not every museum functions as, Museo de las Américas functions. So why do you think it's so important to have a program like the Youth Leadership Lab that we have here at Museo de las Américas Los Jóvenes? Why do you think it's so important to have that right now here, in our community, but also in Denver in general?
So actually, I'm going to back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about my background because I think it adds to why I think this is so important. So I started my career as a high school teacher. I was a high school English teacher. And one of the things I noticed in Denver specifically when I was teaching was that many young people have a load of opportunities, but they don't necessarily know where to go to bring those opportunities together to leverage their ideas and creativity into the community itself. And one of the things I love about Los Jóvenes is that it offers almost like a job opportunity for young people to think about what does it mean to do art professionally? What does it mean to exist in a museum space? What does it mean to build something collaboratively? And so we pay our young people. They are here as apprentice artists. They're working with professional artists. They're observing professional curators. They're thinking about what it means to do this job in the world. They are also building understandings that art is not just for themselves. It can be, right? That's one of the things they actually emphasize to us. But art is also a way to speak back to power. And I think that the importance of Los Jóvenes is actually this platform that is offered and that the Museo has offered long before I got involved, to allow young people to use their voice and to use their art to think about the structures of society and to think about what it means to push on those, to talk to those, to point out the stories that are missing, and to create art that says something to other people.
I love that. I love that the component of reflection, right, about our society and about how it's a structure, right, and like also how we can use art to redefine and question and kind of like what you said, right? Speak back to power. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and so one of the things I love about this program, I started working in museums when I was a PhD student in Boulder, and actually got to bring my undergraduates in to work in museums as well. And so one of those undergrads is still working with me, Jose Manriquez-Hernandez. And he actually is one of the Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab leaders. There we go. And he's really interesting because he's moved from this kind of like apprentice role into the leadership role. And so it just shows the possibility for young people as they're engaging in these spaces and thinking critically about what it means to be in museums. And then my favorite thing about this program is actually I've watched other young people engaged in Los Jóvenes start to take on other roles in the museum world, at Museo itself. And so I think it's really important to create that kind of structure for them.
That's great. And also, we're going to be interviewing Jose Manriquez, the person she just mentioned. So stay with us because it's going to be a very interesting also perspective from him, right? Because he's coming from, as you said, right, apprentice to like leadership. So I think that's like a really cool, situation that I feel like that's what we want, right? Like for them to kind of like, move towards leadership, right?
Absolutely.
I think my last question for you, Kristina, would be, how do you think that, being involved with Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab here at Museo de las Américas has impacted or transformed you?
I think that one of the biggest gifts we can give ourselves is having space to work with young people in ways that not only asks for their ideas, but creates a platform to highlight those ideas in ways that maybe our society doesn't and hasn't historically. For me, every time I work with young people, I find myself reimagining what the world could be based on what they're seeing and what they're experiencing. Being at Museo, working with kids from all over the city, young people who have lots of different backgrounds, reminds me that my experience is just my own, and that the more perspective I gain and the more people I talk to, the more likely I am to understand the world we live in and to be able to contribute to a better world. And I think that really is the beauty of working with young people overall, is just they come with such fresh ideas. They're observing the world from such a different perspective. They're starting from a point that we did not. And getting to hear them articulate that and then see them visualize that in art seems to me to be kind of the core of what I hope for my life.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Kristina, for your time and your expertise and wisdom. And we'll have Jose Manriquez in a second here with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Jose. How are you?
Hi, Kristina. Good. And you? And yourself?
I'm fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab, please.
Yeah, for sure. My background, I would say, is mostly inspired by my parents for the most part. They are from Michoacan in Mexico. And so, yeah, just like have learned a lot from them and kind of want to continue learning a little bit more about like my background, my culture, and all that. So wanted to be a part of the Latino community in a larger sense. And so any sort of opportunities or programs where I can like find that sort of exploration and ability to like learn more, I definitely want to like dig in a little bit deeper, and got involved to Los Jóvenes mainly through Kristina Stamatis, as she just like kind of like told me that this was an amazing opportunity to be a part of, and just she's never let me down before, and she's had like amazing opportunities for me to like get involved in the community before. So yeah, would just happily jumped along.
That's awesome. And Kristina, we just interviewed her, and she mentioned briefly that you moved from kind of like apprentice kind of like situation to like the leadership part of the program. How was that transition? How was it? How did it feel?
Yeah, for sure. I say that I'm still struggling with it a little bit in the like just grand scheme of things. I just never really felt like I had that much of a leadership potential, right? I think that that's just like my nervousness, like background and anxiety, just like kind of like unraveling. But like regardless, I still think that there's a lot that I have to like learn for myself. And so just the ability to be able to like share that so willingly, be so open about it, I think has really allowed me to like be a lot more open and communicative with other members as well as the youth in Los Jóvenes.
That's great. That's awesome to hear that it's been kind of like also a personal journey for you, right?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So how long have you been part of Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab?
Yeah, I'd say possibly a little under a year. I believe I started last like August and September with the first session of Los Jóvenes. And that was just an amazing experience. And like love to continue it. Currently am and hoping to continue with a couple more sessions as well. But yeah, after the first like session, like it was just amazing to see how involved the students were and how much of a just how would I explain it? Just like an open and like comfortable space that we were able to like create with Los Jóvenes because they were also willing to just like kind of express themselves in the art that they were making, as well as just like express themselves and like show off a little bit of like their own like personal interests, whether that be the hobbies that they do, the video games that they play, things that are going on in school, just like random things. I just really enjoyed just the community aspect that Los Jóvenes really brings.
That's wonderful. And I'm sure that building that safe space is one of the key components, right, of the program for them to actually blossom into those kind of like leadership roles and things like that, right?
Of course. Yeah, it definitely plays a huge role in the sense of like, this is art that's supposed to be telling like, you know, a little bit of like their history, their own experiences, their own background is put into this. So just making sure that we all get to like learn a little bit more about each other and learn from each other as well. Just gaining different perspectives, I think is just a huge part of Los Jóvenes in general.
That's really cool. So what's your favorite part of being, part of Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab as a leader?
So I think my favorite part about like being a leader in Los Jóvenes is possibly just like learning from everybody else. I think so many people just like bring different experiences, like not only the students, of course, with like their own experiences, their own background, but they bring so much like joy and just enjoyment from like creating art, but also their experiences and the stories that they share just like while mingling and just like talking and creating, I think says a lot. But on top of that, just meeting the people at Museo, as well as just like continuing to work with like facilitators and Kristina Stamatis, like it's just been such a learning opportunity for myself.
It sounds like a very just mutually fruitful experience and lab. So I think it's wonderful. What would you say to someone that is maybe interested in maybe registering for our upcoming summer session to kind of like make them, decide to like actually come to, go to museo.org and register?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say that if you're just even at all interested in like creating some sort of art, like we'll have plenty of opportunities to like create and make like while we're here. But on top of that, we'll be just like creating community with each other. So it'll be a good opportunity to just like hang out with other new people, learn from other like people's perspectives and their experiences and whatnot. So it's just like be able to like hang out, enjoy it, have a good time, and also like contribute possibly to an exhibit.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I want to register.
Yes, please do.
Thank you so much, Jose, for your time and energy and all the work that you do with Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab.
Of course. Thank you so much, Kristina.
And as we mentioned, please go to museo.org if you're interested in registering for Los Jóvenes Leadership Lab. That starts on June 9th. And as always, thank you so much for listening to the Museo podcast on air. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your family and friends and your network. That always helps us a lot. This is a new initiative, a new project, so we really, really appreciate your help in spreading the word. And you can follow us on social media, Museo Denver. Hasta pronto.